in France, I would expect those nice situations to lead to something.
Feminism.
Well, I don't think it's good for the woman.
Do women come up to you and say hi?
Yeah, it's happened in France, never.
How does that make you feel?
Alone.
As many of you know, Montreal is the only city in Canada with a genuine European vibe. Compared to the more stiff and work-obsessed Toronto, where I come from, Montreal is its chill and artsy counterpart. You've probably heard the cliche, Toronto is a city where you live to work, and Montreal is a city where you work to live. Well, it's not just a cliche. Winters in Montreal are brutal, but that's just an excuse for everyone to go all out during the summer. Festivals pop up everywhere, people picnic on every patch of grass imaginable, and it's ridiculously easy to connect with people. Naturally, I'd assume that compared to Toronto's painfully boring and official dating scene, where meeting someone organically seems to be impossible, Montreal would have a more spontaneous and romantic vibe. But how accurate was my assumption?
How would you describe the dating scene in Montreal?
I think it's always very casual. People start to be friends and after they start to dating.
It's a little bit difficult compared to some other provinces in Canada. There's a lot less men that are interested in traditional relationships.
I've heard that it's kind of a liberal scene, that there's a lot of people kind of sleeping around, nobody wants anything serious.
Yeah, I think it is. Ils sont libres, donc ils sont ouverts à tout, open to everything, open to all kind of relationship.
I would say Quebecois nowadays are a lot more what's mine is mine, what's yours is yours, and things a little bit more separated. They try to share things equally, they try to have their expenses shared equally, the rent is going to be tried to be split as equally as possible, things like that. You know, you'll see people on first, second, third, fourth dates and they're already splitting the bill.
How would you describe Quebecois men for any foreign women that are coming here? What can they expect?
I think Quebecois men are very funny. I think they are the most funniest people on earth. Men and also women. That's why Quebecois are very nice and very friendly and very casual.
What do you think about Quebecois mentality when it comes to dating? How is that different from France?
Oh wow, big questions. I love that. I think it's difficult for French people to have a good relation with Quebecan women because the humor it's really different. And I love make love woman. Okay, no, it's not the same.
Both.
Yeah, both.
Are French more sarcastic?
In France, we love some black humor, you see?
The open relationship mode, fashion, you know, like it's something like a lot of people are doing. When a French person kisses someone, they are like, okay, we are together now. But here, it's different. Like when you kiss, you are not together. You are like, we don't know. If I understood well, you have to wait like the Quebecois to say, do you want us to be together? In France, yes, we are together really quickly because we kiss. And after that, after 3 months, we are like, oh no, it's not working. Bye bye. But au moins, ça évite. I think it's good for not having multiple also relationship, and you can feel tired, you know, to to date a lot of people.
40 years ago, it was easier. We were talking to anybody, you know, and hi, how are you? And starting to chat together, and then it was easy, and then it was clicking or not, but there was no artificial way of meeting people like today. Yes. It was more natural, so you can have a perception of the person when you are face to face, okay, which is very different than when you are on the internet.
So far in my experiences dating, so mostly men. In Paris, I think, when you don't have a connection with the person, you feel it right away, and then you don't expect anything because people are not fake nice, you know? And so when you feel a connection, it means that there is actually a real thing, and I feel that it keeps going afterwards. Either it's sex, either it's anything, you know? Here, because everyone is like nicer, I guess I'm like out of place. Like in France, I would expect those nice situations to lead to something, whereas here maybe it's just how people are, and so there's not a follow-up.
All in all, Montreal seemed very gender equal, with a mindset that was very liberal. I was curious about how the Quebecois approached gender roles and how that differed from the rest of Canada and France. Were the women, in fact, more assertive here?
How would you describe the Montreal dating scene?
I like the beautiful woman from Montreal, but at the same time, they have to be more feminine.
So do you think that Quebecois women are more in their masculine energy here? They're tough?
100% tough, like in the Bronx.
I think it is. I think that's why we are so sexy.
You go to a bar. Do women come up to you and say hi?
Yeah, it's happened in France. Never.
Never.
Never. Almost never.
I think if you go in a bar, like women go to talk to boys, men, more.
Interesting. So it's more normal here that women will.
In bar and everything like that. Yeah, I think so. Yeah, I heard that too.
Quebecois women, I would say, are very straightforward. They're very direct, very to the point. You know, they like what they want. They say when they don't want something, and even in their relationships, you know, they really speak up. You know, they don't like people walking all over them. So in that sense, a lot of respect for that. That being said, sometimes in relationships, it might be a little tricky, especially when roles are, you know, kind of put into question in terms of who does what.
On the first date, typically, who pays here?
Both.
For real?
Both.
Both, yeah.
On your date, it was both of you. You split the bill.
Always. But sometimes we said to each other, okay, this time I'm paying, and the other time that's you and everything. So normally it's everything equal.
They say Quebecois women are very strong women.
I think so, yes. Within our way since, the 50s, we work and we have some careers. Yeah.
40 years ago, it was the same thing. Quebecois women were always strong, even back then.
Not back then, no.
Why is it that you feel more women now come into relationships with this energy?
I think that we don't want to. A lot of my friends will agree with that. We would love to be like soft and like tender and submissive within a relationship, be in our feminine state. I think a lot of it has to do with how men are presenting within relationships. So like if you're showing up right off the bat with lies, or like you're playing games, or you're being manipulative, if we feel like we have to be on guard and we're kind of like, we've spent so much time having that happen over and over and over again on the apps, then at a certain point you kind of have to protect yourself and like wear a little bit of a shield. It does seem like there's sort of a contest of like who's going to be the first one to say I love you, or who's going to be the first one to like grow feelings, or who's going to be the first one to like get rid of all the other options. You lose if you're the one that's the first one to say that you love them.
What do you think about the women and like feminism, like women working jobs, earning money, paying their part in the restaurant?
Well, I don't think it's good for the woman. And deeply, we are different. Okay, we have women, and there are some men, and we have more normally. Usually, I don't say for it's 100%. Okay, but women have their feminine energy. So she should, play a role more with the men. And I think the men are a little bit like intimidated
by women.
Yeah.
A lot of women complain that men have become really lazy and passive these days. What do you think about that?
It's true. Because women nowadays, they're leveling up type of way.
A lot of women are really, really longing for the opportunity, especially when we're very like financially independent. We have our own careers these days. It would be really nice to like go home and to be like soft with your partner, not have to be in your masculine energy 100% of the time.
What is the difference between Quebecois men and French men that you've discovered?
I think it means something for me here. I like when guys are a little are romantic. Okay, we are women, and we also like to share, like and to we have our own situation, like our profession, and we can split the bill and stuff like that. But I like when the guy has some little things, like little attention. You are into his car and he's like, "Are you cold?" And you are like, "Yes, I'm cold." Okay, so I put off the. It's little thing like that. And sometimes I think it means to be really attentive to the other, not to be directly like you come at my home.
Comment dire? Ici, c'est plus développer le mental d'ouverture d'esprit, de equality between women and men, you see?
Yeah.
And in France, it's more, c'est plus de traditionnel, c'est plus l'homme qui paye. Mais moi, je préfère l'ancienne version.
Pourquoi?
I think it's good to keep some des coutumes, some tradition, and I love that.
In the 1950s, Quebec was one of the most religiously active societies, with the Roman Catholic Church dominating all aspects of life. Weekly mass attendance rates reportedly reached a staggering 90%, and the influence of the church has also caused a lot of issues. In the 1960s, Quebec experienced a real transformation. Weekly church attendance is currently around 4%, which is low, even by European standards. It seems that the Quebecois, much like the Irish who now get married, the latest in Europe, have massively rebelled against the church, shifting from a traditional society to one that is very liberal. It's no surprise that the Quebecois curse words are largely centered around the church slang, but I was curious to know how this has influenced the way people now see commitment.
There's a lot of choice. It's a large city. There's just kind of a lot of men that are emotionally unavailable.
Open relationships are popular here, it looks like.
I think so, yeah.
There was like a huge trend in the last like decade where there were more and more people who were open or poly. It's gone down a little bit where they're not like actively saying that, and they, you know, there aren't that many people who like put that on their profile, but there's still a lot of people who carry that mentality. They might like say that they want a relationship, or they'll put on their profile that they want a relationship, but then you'll realize that they're kind of living their life as a poly person. They're just not telling you openly that they are. So
They're
basically,
cheating on you.
yeah, but basically, I think that there's a lot of fear of commitment. I think there's a lot of avoidant attachment styles. I think that might be related to historically the gender dynamics within Quebec, where a lot of women were in the workforce kind of earlier than in other places in Canada. So if you have a lot of like working women raising their children, you know, you have a lot of men or people, I guess, that might have avoidant attachment styles because their parents weren't really that present.
How does that make you feel?
Alone.
While I couldn't find specific statistics on Montreal, polyamory seemed to be on the rise in Canada in general. More than 2/3 of respondents said that they are currently involved in a polyamorous relationship, and of those who weren't, 2/5 said that they had been involved in such a relationship in the last 5 years.
It's something that you see a lot in Quebec is you'll see couples that are in their 50s and they'll call each other boyfriend and girlfriend. Ça c'est ma blonde, ça c'est mon chum. And it's just, for me, that's strange, you know, because usually a couple that's been together for a long time, 20, 30 years, you know, they refer to one another as married. And it's the marriage thing is sensitive for a lot of couples in Quebec.
So in places like Ottawa or New Brunswick or in Nunavut, where I live, you have a lot more people who are like, they are more open or clear about their family values. Even the ones that are like not really looking to get married anytime soon, they're still like willing to go through the steps of like a traditional general relationship. You go on traditional dates, you like move it along in a direction. Whereas here, there's less movement. I think a lot of it has to do with that they're juggling a lot of people at once. So like they'll get like really into one person at a time. They'll put 2 weeks into that person while they have their backups.
Quebecois people went from being very traditional, very church-going people to all of a sudden after the revolution just kind of rejecting everything from that culture.
Like the image I got is like Montrealers are kicking the religion one time in one day, switch, okay, we don't give a damn thing about this. So I was like, damn, okay.
Do you want to get married?
Yeah, we are. This is in our school.
Is this the first time we're having this conversation?
No, but to be honest, no.
Go down.
Okay.
Go down now.
No, but we already have this conversation in the past. So it's not it's very okay.